Is Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Chennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
The Chicago Sky are in crisis. Their coach didn't make it through a full season, and now their star player wants to leave. It's more than just a rough patch, it's a full collapse. The team is struggling with internal drama, poor leadership, and players openly thinking about moving on.
Now, Marina Mabrey, she's already flown the coop on this team, and it was quote-unquote because of culture. Well, what happened to the culture? Who torched the culture? Who's selfish on the team that would cause the culture to melt down?
Angel Reese's behavior has only made things worse, creating even more division in the locker room. Rumors of favoritism and growing tension are pushing players further apart. Meanwhile, Chennedy Carter, the team's top scorer, added fuel to the fire with a recent social media outburst, showing just how lost the team's identity has become. All of this follows a difficult season under head coach Teresa Weatherspoon, which left the team in disarray both on and off the court. So how did things go so wrong? What caused the downfall of a team that once had so much potential? And can new head coach Tyler Marsh fix the mess? This is a story of poor leadership, broken bonds, and a culture spiraling out of control. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Ready to find out? Let's get started.
The Chicago Sky franchise has been an absolute dumpster fire since winning the WNBA championship in 2021. Let's go through some of the names that have left. James Wade, who was the coach and GM, left in the middle of the season last year to go to the NBA. Candace Parker, Emma Messman, Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Clea Copper was traded, Azura Stevens. And then this year, after drafting Cardozo and Reese, they were competing for a playoff spot and traded Marina Mabrey, their veteran, before the Olympic break.
When Chennedy Carter posted on Threads asking fans which WNBA team she should join next season, it wasn't just a casual social media post. It was a bold sign that she's ready to leave the Chicago Sky. Her exact words were, "Let's chat. Drop the WNBA teams you'd like to see me sign with next year. Y'all be coaches and GMs anyway. Let's see what you think," even though she's still under contract as a restricted free agent. This open display of frustration speaks volumes. Carter, who led the Sky with 17.5 points per game last season, has always been a divisive figure in the league. She's known for her scoring talent and fiery personality, but also for stirring up controversy. Her time with the Sky has been no different, with her off-court behavior often getting as much attention as her play. While this latest outburst might just seem like another chapter in her dramatic career, it highlights a bigger problem within the team.
When Tyler Marsh did the press conference, he talked about Angel Reese, he talked about Cardozo, who I think is going to be a star in the WNBA, but he did not really mention Chennedy Carter at all, and that raised a lot of eyebrows.
When your top scorer publicly questions her future, it's more than just a personal issue. It's a clear sign of trouble within the team. This isn't the first time it's happened either. Marina Ma voiced similar concerns earlier in the season. So, is Carter leaving because of the dysfunction, or is she just contributing to it? The Sky's response, or lack of one, has only made things worse. New head coach Tyler Marsh was asked about Carter's future, but sidestepped the question, choosing instead to focus on players already under contract. This silence speaks volumes.
However, new Sky coach Tyler Marsh was asked about whether he sees Chennedy Carter in the big part of what he's doing in the future during an appearance on the Athletic Women's Basketball Show. Quote, "In regards to Chennedy, she's a great player. She was a huge catalyst to what last year's team was able to do and accomplish. And obviously, she's slated to be a free agent. So once those talks are up, we'll take a look at it." Interesting. But the focus thus far has been on players who we know are under contract this coming year, and that's where the communication has been thus far.
Marsh's decision to stay vague about Carter's future sends a clear message. The Chicago Sky are at a crossroads. The question is whether the new leadership is ready to embrace Carter's talent, despite the drama, or if they'll look for a fresh start without her. Carter's frustrations aren't happening in isolation. The team has spent the past year dealing with rumors of favoritism, questionable tactics, and a coaching environment that many players struggle to navigate. The impact of Teresa Weatherspoon's brief and turbulent tenure still lingers, leaving behind a toxic atmosphere. Even Carter's harshest critics might understand why she won't leave.
According to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord.
Carter's post on Threads sparked a huge reaction on social media. Some fans criticized her for airing her frustrations publicly, calling it unprofessional and immature, while others defended her, pointing to the Sky's broken leadership as the real issue. One fan even said, "If even Carter wants out, you know something's seriously wrong in Chicago." These reactions show a divided view, not just of Carter, but of an organization struggling to hold on to its credibility. Is the real problem the Sky, or is it Carter? It's worth remembering that Carter has bounced around between teams in recent years and has been asked to leave more than once, so she might be part of the problem. The bigger question is whether new head coach Tyler Marsh's fresh start will be enough to fix things. Can the Sky rebuild their culture while keeping their top scorer, or is this just the start of a major rebuild? If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We appreciate you taking the time to watch, and now, let's get back to the action.
After a 13-27 season, the Chicago Sky have decided to fire Reese Witherspoon. In the words of Vince McMahon, "You're fired!"
When Teresa Weatherspoon was hired as head coach of the Chicago Sky, it was meant to mark the start of a new chapter for the team. With her legendary career in the WNBA, expectations were high. But after just one chaotic season, those hopes fell apart, leaving a divided locker room and a franchise in urgent need of rebuilding. So, what went wrong? The main issue was Weatherspoon's failure to bring the team together during a time of internal tension. Instead of healing those rifts, her leadership seemed to make things worse. Players reported communication breakdowns, unclear strategies, and, perhaps most damaging, a sense of favoritism that left many feeling left out and disconnected.
And look, as an organization, we just, felt it was time to make a change. There's just private issues that I think we will keep just in the Sky locker room.
Under Weatherspoon's leadership, Angel Reese became a lightning rod for controversy. There were reports of Reese getting special treatment, including more playing time to boost her stats, while her mistakes went largely unaccounted for. This created tension with her teammates, and one veteran player even anonymously remarked, it was obvious who she was trying to please, and it wasn't the younger players. Among those feeling overlooked was the talented Kamilla Cardoso, who struggled to find a consistent role in Weatherspoon's system. Cardoso's potential was often underused, making it clear that player development was taking a backseat to keeping certain individuals happy. Here's Cardoso opening up about her frustration after another tough loss.
Honestly, don't have an answer for you, but this was embarrassing. So I really hope we figure out what was wrong and go back to the court tomorrow, practice, or do whatever we got to do and fix it for our next road.
The mid-season trade of Marina Ma added to the turmoil within the Sky. Known for her sharp shooting and strong defense, Ma was traded to the Connecticut Sun under unclear circumstances. While Ma didn't openly criticize the Sky, her glowing praise for the Sun made it hard to ignore how relieved she seemed to be after the move.
There's a level of discipline and a level of professionality here where, the players just have to worry about playing basketball. A lot of things don't get down to the players, and I think that's really good.
Her comments hinted at a toxic culture in Chicago, where favoritism and drama took priority over teamwork and trust.
Obviously the players here are very experienced and they want to keep a good environment, and they make sure that they kind of hold people accountable for that. So
by the end of the season, the problems were too big to ignore. Exit interviews revealed widespread frustration with Weatherspoon's tactics and communication. Veterans questioned her leadership, while younger players expressed frustration over unclear expectations. Even basic team principles, like on-court discipline, seemed to slip under her watch. The Sky are now left to pick up the pieces of a season marked by dysfunction, division, and a culture that prioritized individual interests over team success.
I can't help but wonder, is that what happened here? Is Angel Reese and the way she wants to play, and I don't know if you've ever noticed her social media posts, but she's very me, always. I, me. Well, you may have a player that has decided that she's had enough of that.
Angel Reese was meant to be the future of the Chicago Sky, but instead, she became a polarizing figure, often causing more drama than bringing the team together. From her me-first attitude to her public controversies, Reese's presence became a key part of the team's downfall. This led to accusations of stat padding, and critics humorously dubbed her rebounds me-bounds, pointing out her inefficient play and focus on numbers rather than making a real impact.
Definition of stat padding: you are down by 22 points, and you've got the Fever's bench player, bench player, bench player, bench player, bench player, playing against bench player, bench player, bench player, bench player, starter, just so that she can get her double-double.
Reese's off-court behavior added to the drama. In the second episode of her podcast, she claimed that teams who passed on her during the WNBA draft later called to express regret. This statement raised a lot of eyebrows and was quickly dismissed as an exaggeration by both fans and analysts.
Players on other teams say I wish we drafted you.
Really?
Yes. Like teams that have drafted that were above me, that the players that got drafted above, and it was nothing against their rookies that got drafted, but they were like, I wish we were teammates. I wish we drafted you.
Reese's public response to the June 16 flagrant foul incident with Caitlin Clark only added to her controversial image. After hitting Clark with an excessive foul, Reese defended the play, claiming it was a play on the ball. She also insinuated that Clark was receiving special treatment, further fueling the tension and division around her.
I think we went up really strong a lot of times, and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whip.
Video evidence contradicted Reese's version of events, making her defense look both defensive and unaccountable. Social media exploded with criticism, labeling her excuses as embarrassing and transparent deflections. As the team's season continued to unravel, fans began to question whether Reese's behavior was worth the drama, especially as the Sky's problems deepened.
Angel Reese is now quoted as saying, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. It's because of me too, and I want you to realize.
While Reese undoubtedly has talent, her lack of accountability and divisive behavior have become major obstacles for the Sky. Even some of her supporters are starting to wonder if she's a good fit for a team that's trying to rebuild its culture under new head coach Tyler Marsh, who is focused on creating a more unified and disciplined environment. How this plays out could determine whether the Sky can rise again or continue their downward spiral into dysfunction.
Sorry, young lady. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody would be watching the WNBA additionally for you. This is all about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is bringing the money to the game, the planes to the game, the TV viewership. The WNBA is on fire because of Caitlin Clark.
While the Chicago Sky were falling apart, the Indiana Fever were quietly building something extraordinary. What makes the Fever stand out isn't just their growing success on the court. It's the culture of discipline, transparency, and teamwork that drives it. In a league driven by competition, the Fever have become a model of how to get it right. At the core of their resurgence are President Kelly Krakoff, General Manager Amber Cox, and Head Coach Stephanie White. The return of Krakoff to the organization was a turning point, bringing a steady hand and a long-term focus to a team that badly needed direction.